modern technology that have overall improved our lives, medicine has been one of the most improved things that we've ever had. And so one of the big industries that we have is the pharmaceutical industry. And one of the big questions is, because the pharmaceutical industry has grown so big, is does it really help us or does it really hurt us? So I'm going to tell you about the helpful and harmful effects of the industry it has on the consumers through the medications it offers. So first of all, I'm going to go through the helpful side, and then I'm going to go through the harmful effects. So to start off with, having a variety of medications is really beneficial because one, you can get things that is more suited to your needs, and then on the other side of it, you can also get something that's better to your body chemistry. Everyone has slightly different body chemistry. So like, for example, I'm allergic to penicillin. I can't get it anymore because it causes an allergic reaction, so I have to get a different medication to be able to treat myself. And if I didn't have that other medication, I would just be SOL for that. Or I'd have to take my chances with getting penicillin and hope for the best. According to an article titled "The Drugs, Brains, Behavior" by the National Institute on Drug Abuse, to send a message, a neuron releases a neurotransmitter into the gap between cells, and the neurotransmitter crosses the synapses and attaches to the receptors on the neurons like a lock and a key. So when any drug is introduced into your body, they use the analogy of a lock and a key. Only certain chemicals will send certain receptors a certain signal, and that's why whenever you use drugs, they're always very careful on what it is, because they're only looking to induce one effect. Because the NIDA also stated, that drugs interfere with the way neurons can send, receive, and process signals via those neurotransmitters. So you have to be very careful on what you're taking. But they also make sure, too, that all of their medications are very specific and what they're looking for. So like a sleep medication will make sure that it's inducing chemicals that make you feel sleepy so you can get to sleep. Next, companies run ads, and all these ads seem really bizarre. To the rest of us, are like, we don't think too much about them. They can actually be really beneficial in opening lines of communication between a doctor and their patient. And while this seems a little weird, a patient can feel more comfortable after seeing advertisements for some medication and feel more comfortable going to talk to their doctor about it, because either they had not thought about it or the advertisements make them feel more informed. John Cohn stated in his article, "Drugs You Don't Need for Disorders You Don't Have," a much aired commercial might prompt patients to discuss a condition they never knew they had or reduce the stigma around certain diseases. So if you see ads for depression or IBS like every night while eating dinner, you might feel less embarrassed asking your doctor about it, which for them is a huge thing, because sometimes patients will not talk to their doctor about things because they don't think it's relevant, or they just feel too embarrassed to talk about, and sometimes they really need that help. And whether or not they actually get that specific medication is a whole other thing entirely, but at least it opens a line of communication between the patient and doctor to get some more help. Lastly, all medications are regulated by the FDA. And so the pharmaceutical companies are held at a very high standard because their drugs are regulated. They have to meet all the safety requirements, and they have to follow FDA rules for all of that there. So Cohn states in his article, like in 1938, the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act mandated that the most powerful drugs could only be purchased with a doctor's prescription. And this involves too, like medications such as opioids that you would get after surgery, while used correctly, are very beneficial to us. We have kept from our reach to help prevent abuse of that, which also is done by pharmaceutical companies there. And so I've talked about things that are very helpful that pharmaceutical companies do for us, such as like variations of medications and running advertisements, opening communication, and how they're held at high standards due to the FDA. So I'm going to talk about the harmful effects. The first thing we're going to discuss is the industry itself. And this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. They make tons of revenue off of drugs. David Belk and Paul Belk state in their article, "The Pharmaceutical Industry," published in 2018, that the U.S. alone is responsible for 45% of all pharmaceutical industry revenue. And that's a ton of money. And why this is, according to Sarah Cliff, who published The True Story of America's Sky-High Prescription Drug Prices in 2018, the United States is exceptional in that it does not regulate or negotiate the prices of new prescription drugs when they come out into the market. Other countries will have some sort of government funded thing to regulate drug prices so that everyone is able to afford medications, whereas we don't have that here. And so our drug companies have a lot more power because they control their prices, and so they're going to pay. So you have to pay for what the company tells you to pay for it, not what someone has set for it. And to further elaborate on my point, in their article, article, David and Paul Belt give examples of like drug prices in the U.S. compared to Canada. So Xarelto, which is a blood thinner, is $14.37 per pill in the U.S., while in Canada it's $3.07 per pill. And insulin here in the U.S. is $26.14 per milliliter, and in Canada it's $2.78 per milliliter. And those are such drastic prices. And so the pharmaceutical companies are doing that purposely because we don't have an entity to lower prices, so they'll extort the U.S. for more revenue. The next problem is overprescription. And overprescription encompasses two things. It's either you're being prescribed something that you don't need, or you're taking something you don't need, or there's a medication that is being abused. And I'm focusing more on taking things you don't need because there's a lot of medications pharmaceutical companies put out there for problems that could be solved in other methods other than a medication, but it's a lot easier for us as a country to take a pill to solve our problem than it is to change our lifestyle. In Cohen's article, it stated, in fact, public health experts argued that many people taking acid inhibitors don't actually need the medications at all. They need to change their diets. So something that could be a real easy solution, we just decide we're going to solve another way. So pharmaceutical companies also put out like magic pills to help solve your problems, such as like weight loss pills, because there's other ways you can go about doing that. And the final problem is advertising. Advertisements aren't as regulated as they should be, because the FDA doesn't regulate their ads. They also can't regulate any amount of spending for that. So Cohen's article states one study from the Journal of General Institute of Medicine, which found that 50% of claims in drug ads were potentially misleading, and another 10% were outright false. And they do this to lure buyers in because they don't have to make claims that are exact. They'll use it to lure buyers in, and because most of those commercials have brand names attached to them, those drugs also have a very high price that goes with them. And in addition, the U.S. is one of 2 developed countries that allows advertisements on television due to Cohen's article. So like in conclusion, the pharmaceutical industry both helps and hurts consumers because it offers a variety of medications for us. It can also open up lines of communication between a doctor and a patient, and the FDA holds those companies at really high standards. On the other hand though, pharmaceutical companies come to the U.S. to maximize their profits with overpriced drugs and also give us medications that we don't entirely need, and can also use false and misleading advertisements to get money. So the industry will always be around. Whether they do more good or harm can be up to you, but the point is to show you as consumers what you should be informed of the industry so you can protect yourself.